Hey guys, just headed home. It's about 8:15 at night. It was a good day in court. Let's see, I'm going to start off this by reading a few statements that the judge made that I wrote down that caught my attention. The first statement that she made, well, no, let's see, I'm going to go through a few notes first. Ammon Bundy was on the stand the entire day until later when Lorie Finicum took the stand for like the last 45 minutes of the day, and he did awesome and she did awesome. They really had two wonderful people on the stand, and it was a bad day for the prosecution, we'll just say that. You know, this whole year, for those who have been attending all the meetings, or all of the little hearts distract me, that's funny. For this entire year, everybody who's been going to the status hearings, you know that the few things that Judge has been adamant is that there would be no discussion of the Hammonds at this trial, there would be no discussion of adverse possession, and there would be no discussion of LaVoy Finicum's murder. Much to her surprise, that has been discussed for the last 3 days straight, because Ammon Bundy was man enough to take the stand and face his enemies straight on. I have so much respect for that man. For the last 3 days, he has described why he went to the refuge. He has been above reproach. He has proven there was no conspiracy in November, that until January 1st, his own brother didn't know about the refuge, nor did anybody else who was at the refuge for that matter. There was no pre-existing conspiracy. Multiple people have said, because of a statement made between Gavin Syme and Ammon Bundy on his phone, that said people want to know about the second rally, that therefore Gavin was involved in going in the refuge. Well, today Ammon described what Plan A and Plan B were, and the first one was about a convoy, and the second part of the protest was the actual protest for the Hammonds in town. So I just love how the prosecution is literally taking like one sentence on a phone and trying to make it into something that it's not, and how many people jump on board with that and try to make a conspiracy when there in fact was no conspiracy. I highly doubt Gavin Syme knew about the refuge you know, weeks before, when Ryan Bundy didn't know about it, when Shauna Cox didn't know about it, when all the people who went with Ammon didn't know about it. So it's really been good to have all the truth come out on the stand, and how open Ammon is being in admitting and discussing things so freely. He's really making the prosecution look bad. I mean, really making the prosecution look bad. So Ammon pointed out there was media coverage from around the world. Ammon pointed out that when Senator Walden brought this to the Congress on the House floor, that it told him that what he was doing was making an impact and was good. Ammon got to talk all about adverse possession, and how he fully anticipated at the end of this he would end up facing a civil suit for trespassing, and he would thus be able to take the land issues in the courts in a civil matter and be able to dispute who owns the refuge and hopefully get the land back into the hands of the people. He said that it would either happen that way, or they would actually gain adverse possession, and he would be able to see that the land was managed and turned back over to the people of Harney County. Nowhere in his idea of what would happen to him involved, you know, hundreds of agents and somebody being shot 3 times in the back. Let's see. Ammon addressed that if his redress of grievances had even been looked at, they would have never responded with going to the refuge to take adverse possession. Let's see. At one point, Ryan cross-examined Ammon, and he said to him, Mr. Bundy, how long has the land disputes been going on? Ammon responded, well, my grandfather. And Anna Brown interrupted him and said, Mr. Bundy, just state a time frame without a narrative. And he paused for a minute and he says, okay, well, since the sagebrush Mr. Bundy, answer the question. How long has this been going on? Well, he was trying to answer how long it had been going on. If you would shut up and let him speak, he's on the witness stand, and you're not a prosecuting attorney, so stop silencing him like you are. That's what I was thinking today every time she interrupted him. 2 different times, she sustained objections that did not come in. She literally said, Mr. Bundy, this objection is sustained, and nobody sustained it. She told him to be quiet and stop talking, and when he continued, she said, Mr. Bundy, the objection is sustained, and there was no objection. So I've been saying this since the day I met her back in February. She is a prosecuting attorney. She is not a judge. Let's see. They asked the question, Mr. Bundy, did you ever feel concerned for the Hammond family that they would be arrested by the FBI and harmed? And he said yes. Then they asked, did you ever feel concerned about fish and wildlife taking the Hammonds into custody? And he said, no, this wasn't about fish and wildlife. This was about the federal government. Again, making the point there was no conspiracy to impede fish and wildlife from coming to work. Neil Wampler's attorney pointed out that he is in custody, but his position at the refuge was to be a cook, as was Melissa Cooper, and he asked, because her name was on some papers that they showed, she asked, what was Melissa Cooper's role at the refuge? And Ammon said she volunteered to be ahead of the kitchen. And so the attorney said, so would you conclude that Mr. Wampler was basically her assistant? And Ammon said, yeah, that would be a fair conclusion. And, is she in the room or was incarcerated? No. Again, making the point that they picked and chose who they arrested. Neil Wampler should not be even in this case. He was in the kitchen of the refuge for 2 weeks and had virtually nothing to do with anything that should have put him on the radar to be incarcerated, other than the fact that the federal government hates him because he is willing to tell them no. They asked, did you meet everybody who came to the refuge? Ammon says, absolutely not. I wanted to, but there was no way that I was going to be able to meet everybody who came. There was just too many people. If somebody wanted to meet him, he would make sure to introduce himself, but there was just too many people coming and going from the refuge. David Fry's attorney said, was anybody turned away from the protest? Ammon said, no, to my understanding, not one person was ever turned away from coming and protesting, even if they didn't want to protest the Hammond case. Maybe they had a different beef with the government, but that nobody was turned away, regardless of why they were there. Everybody was able to have a voice and come and stand with them. There was a couple great statements that, so they have Ryan and Ken Menbach on theft charges for taking down the video surveillance cameras, even though they have videos of them taking these down, and LaVoy quoting the Fourth Amendment, saying that because of the unlawful search and seizures, that it was breaking the Fourth Amendment for them to be recording them without a warrant, that they could not just go throughout the town and put up these recording devices, and by them taking them down, it was civil disobedience. It was not theft. So then Ryan played a video of LaVoy presenting the cameras to the FBI. With the media present, LaVoy says, FBI, come pick up your cameras. And he had them in a basket. He says, they're here, they're in perfect condition. We removed them because the people of Harney County asked us to remove them, but this is your property, come and pick it up. How can they even have charges on them for theft when they have them on video saying, we have your property here, come and pick it up? It makes absolutely no sense to me, but not much of this case makes any sense to me. It's pretty ridiculous. So Ammon tried to read 2 times from the Constitution, and he was told to put his Constitution away. He would not be reading it. The defense asked him a question about his state of mind and said, what part in the Constitution, he said, what was your state of mind? Why did you believe you had the right to petition your government for a redress of grievance? And he said, well, it's in the Constitution. And he said, can you read that to me? And Ammon pulled out his Constitution to read it, and she said, I forbid you from reading that in this courtroom, and made him put his Constitution away. Another time, David Fry's attorney asked him if he would open his Constitution and look at a statement in there, and Ammon opened it and looked at it, and he said, can you read to me? And then she interrupted and said, we are not doing this here. He is not reading from the Constitution in this courtroom. Under cross-examination, so he's been on the witness stand for 3 days, guys, with defense. Prosecution cross-examined him for 10 minutes. If that doesn't tell you that they don't have a case, what prosecuting attorney is going to miss the opportunity of having their person, sorry, there's all the raindrops on my face, having their person on the stand and not be able to grill them and nail them in all these areas? Every time that prosecuting attorney asks a question, Ammon turns it around and shows what an absolute aggressive tyrant that prosecuting attorney is. So the prosecuting attorney asks him, Ammon Bundy, you were the leader, correct? And Ammon said, no, not exactly. Ammon Bundy, you believe that it's legal to go and use adverse possession to take over any government property, is that correct? No, actually, you can't just go and take over government property. One, I don't believe that property to be lawfully owned by the government. And two, there are still steps you have to go through even in an adverse possession. There's a timeline. There's turning over the signage. There is putting a claim to it. There is proving that you have the right to do so. So every time the prosecution in this 10 minutes tried so hard, and let me tell you guys, I was praying for him so hard, because the prosecuting attorney sat right up front when he asked him his few minutes of questions. He was aggressive, he was loud. He is not a man I would ever invite to my house unless I had armed bodyguards around. He's like a little bulldog, and he looked like that to the jury, I believe, today, because every question that he asked, Ammon calmly and peaceably answered his questions. Then he brings up his loan, okay, right? We've been hearing about how Ammon Bundy is a welfare rancher family and took $500,000 from the government. Okay, one, he didn't borrow $500,000 from the government. He went into the bank and he got a loan, just like anybody else does. And the bank said, hey, you qualify for this program. You have good credit. Do you want to try to do this program? And Ammon said, sure, do whatever you need to do. He ended up getting a $500,000, not even a loan. He never received any cash. They paid off a business that he bought. Okay, so he didn't take $500,000. He borrowed the money. He took out a loan to purchase this other business and then combined it with his. So the prosecution was trying to set the stage that Ammon Bundy mocks the government but then takes money from the government. Very weak case. You know, you're talking about conspiracy charges, and now you're throwing mud in the courtroom, and you're looking pretty stupid at this point, Mr. Knight, just to be honest with you. But at any rate, it worked out for Ammon's benefit, because when Mr. Knight brought it up, he said, is it true that you went and took out a loan from the same government that you're protesting? And Ammon said, well, I took out a loan from the bank, but if it did come from the government, is that wrong? Is that not in the Constitution? Because if you like, we could open up the Constitution and look and see if the government had a right to do that or not. And then he said, I think now would be an appropriate time to do that, to which Judge Brown said, no, you will not be reading from the Constitution. And Ammon said, of course not. And then Ammon said that while he has been incarcerated, get this, trolls that are listening right now, while Ammon has been incarcerated, he has not missed one payment. Not one payment on his business loan. Oh, poor trolls. Isn't that upsetting to know that Ammon Bundy, even while he's in jail, even while he has 6 children at home, he pays his debt to the government? Most of the liberals watching this don't even have jobs because they're all on some form of assistance, and here Ammon Bundy has been wrongfully arrested and is still paying He has never defaulted on his loan. So I'm not really sure what they thought they were going to accomplish, but it really made Ammon look that much better on the stand to these jurors for him to say, the prosecution said, "Do you pay your taxes?" And Ammon said, "Yes." "Do you pay your federal taxes?" And he said, "Absolutely." Almost like he doesn't have a problem with the federal government. He has a problem with the federal government abusing the American people. Oh, he's just making this case so difficult for these prosecutors. Okay, so last thing is that, so yeah, he's talked all about adverse possession, all about the Hammonds. Dusty Hammond was going to testify today, and then they ran out of time. When they talked about will he or will he not testify next week, Judge Brown says, "I am going to start managing the time here. Mr. Bundy spent 3 days describing his state of mind, and we do not need Mr. Hammond to come and testify to this." Her point on that was because she said if all Dusty Hammond is going to do is testify that his family was put into duress by the government and that they were receiving threats, that's all that is going to do is corroborate. Sorry, you're going to make fun of me, trolls. That's okay. I love you anyway. All that's going to do is corroborate the testimony Ammon has already given. And so she said that that's basically redundant. We're not going to do that. Then, in regards to the other, she's just coming totally unraveled in this courtroom, too. The woman looks like she should have retired 10 years ago. It makes me feel bad for her, because she's not going to win this case. Even if she gets Ammon Bundy put in jail the rest of his life, she's never going to win this case. She's never going to truly win. She might cheat and win, but she's never going to win against somebody as moral and ethical as Ammon Bundy. She just is on a different playing field, and she's never going to be able to beat him at his game because his game is integrity and character, and she has none of that to play her game with. So then she says they're trying to discuss who the next witnesses will be for next week. She says, "Come on, everybody, this is money and meters, and everybody's paying for this." And she's just getting all riled up and waving her hands around. And then she says, Ken Menbach wants to take the stand next week. She says, "If Ken takes the stand, will you get him up there and get right to the point?" To which, of course, Mr. Schindler says, "Well, I want my client to have the right amount of time on the stand. I don't want him to be shorted just because we're at the end of the case here. They all have a right to testify, on their own behalf." And she says, "What we did with Mr. Bundy took way too long. If Mr. Menbach takes the stand, I want you to get right to the point." Oh my gosh, really? Is it ever too long for somebody proving their innocence? 3 days is too long. What she's mad about is that the 3 days he was on the witness stand, the defense was asking him questions. Now, if the prosecution had him up there for 3 days, grilling him, making him look like a fool, she'd be happy as pie with the last 3 days. But all that we learned in the last 3 days is that Ammon Bundy did not commit any crime at the refuge. And Ammon Bundy did not conspire with anybody to impede federal officers from carrying out their official duties with threats, force, and intimidation. That's what we learned in the last 3 days. And she is not happy about that. So I'll go ahead and wrap this up now. One thing we learned that could get interesting, that of course Ammon welcomes, is if because Ammon testified so much to Bunkerville and they weren't going to allow much conversation on Bunkerville to happen originally, because Ammon opened the door, it now gives the prosecution the opportunity to come back and bring forth their evidence that they have against Ammon for Bunkerville. I asked, the other attorneys, is this a good thing? This could really drag out the case if they do this, right? They could have to call in witnesses. That all has to be approved on both sides. Then you have cross-examination of everybody. It's almost like a second case all over again. Will the prosecution do that? I don't know that they will, because I don't really think they have the evidence they're claiming that they have. And all the defendants are saying if they're going to bring up their side of Bunkerville, bring it on. So far, they have blocked all of the Bunkerville evidence, so this would actually allow the guys to have, to see in discovery what the government actually has on them from Bunkerville. But if they do that, that potentially could drag this out for months. I'm not sure that they want to do that, because the judge is unraveling, and I just don't think she can handle much more than a week of this before she's going to end up, I don't know, she's going to pop a vein in that courtroom, because she is just not handling this or holding this together very well. The goal is that next week, the days for court will be Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday. So Monday is a holiday, and Wednesday is a religious holiday for one of the attorneys, Jewish holiday. So the only, Sherilyn, I think I saw your smileys. Your friend is here, and we had dinner, and she's great. So she's safe and happy. So yeah, court next week, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, and then she wants the defense to rest. And then the following week would be closing arguments, and then it would go into deliberation. Deliberation could take, you know, it took, 4 hours for them to deliberate the O.J. Simpson case and say they didn't have enough evidence to prosecute him for the murder of his ex-wife and her boyfriend. But this could be days, it could be weeks, it could be months. Based on the testimonies that they're receiving. Oh, that was one other thing. She said, how many more witnesses do you have? She said, I have already allowed you to bring 10 witnesses to the stand saying that the refuge was clean and orderly. And I'm not going to allow you to bring another 10 witnesses on the stand to say the same thing. So even though it furthers the fact that all the government has is a few pictures, and that all the witnesses who came to the refuge are saying the same thing, she does not want the defense to present too many more witnesses. It's just, it would be more funny if it wasn't so absolutely ludicrous that she actually thinks she is giving them due process. I mean, to say Ammon Bundy was on the stand for 3 days and that was too long, and she's not going to allow that to happen with every defendant, that's pretty crazy. She also was the one who wanted to try them as a group, even though most of them wanted to break off on their own. So she wouldn't be dealing with each defendant wanting to take the witness stand, possibly, if she hadn't told them they had to be tried as a group. So she's constantly reaping her own consequences and being unhappy with the results. Oh wait, there was one really good statement she made today. She said, there's always good statements from this judge. She's just hilarious. So, I mean, the fact that a judge 2 times can sustain an objection that nobody gave when it was her own objection, I mean, come on. Really? Are we... Okay, wait, where's the statement? She made a statement about her coming up with a good idea because she is deeming it a good idea, is the gist of what she said. I think she said, okay, hold on, I have a good idea because I have declared it a good idea. I think that was it. It was kind of funny. It makes me laugh. It's kind of like going back to when she told Michelle Fiore yesterday she didn't have the right to interpret the law, even though Michelle Fiore has been a lawmaker. I mean, you can't make this stuff up, you guys. You really can't. She's continued telling the jury that Mr. Bundy is not to teach them the law, and even if he said he had the right to be there, that she is the one who will explain to them what the law was and if he had the right to be there or not. Which, again, you know, when you're in a country like the United States of America that has a constitution that protects the citizens from a tyrannical government, I mean, you just can't sit there and say, I as an individual make the law. You don't make up the law. Our laws come from our founding fathers that protected our rights in the United States Constitution. They don't come because, you know, an old lady who has gone through menopause probably 4 times and is incredibly upset with life dictates that she knows what the law is, more so than somebody who writes laws. It's just it's crazy. Okay, so Jeanette Finicum testified. She did beautiful. She choked up. Half the supporters were choked up crying listening to her. You just can't get away from the fact that, you know, some all gave some, but some gave all. And LaVoy, his biggest concern was Ammon and Ryan and their safety, and he didn't necessarily want to, I mean, he wanted to go home at points. Jeanette was saying earlier that on the stand she said that they spoke and she wanted him to come home, but he continued saying, the ranchers have come to the refuge and they're begging us not to leave and they need help and I need to help them. And, you know, he did that all the way until the very end. He was unwilling to submit to a tyrannical government. And regardless of what the trolls want to say about him committing suicide by cop and all that, you know, when you watch the videos and you see the ambush that took place when really they should have been legally evicted from the refuge if the government wanted them out. When you watch the videos of the ambush, the shots that have been fired that our trolls in Portland don't even know about, down in Portland, they think that shots were fired after he got out of the truck. You know, some of these trolls who follow us don't even understand shots were fired at the first stop when Ryan Payne put his hands out the window. Then 3 more shots fired when he pulled up to the illegal roadblock. Then more shots fired as soon as he jumped out of the truck with his hands in the air. Guys, this is America. You know, I mean, this was a cowboy that loved his neighbor as himself and went to help the people. And if you guys can't see that our government doesn't set up $1 million roadblocks for a rancher that they think could outrun them, if you guys can't see that there's more to this picture, and you're missing it, and you're missing the fact that your own government is lying to you and abusing you and stealing your land, you think it's there for hiking. Guys, it's not being protected. Our forests that are federally owned are not protected for hiking, okay? Our government is incredibly money hungry and selfish, and they don't go and protect land so that you can hike on it. If you don't get how deceived you are, and if you can watch the videos of the ambush of LaVoy, and if you can study what happened to the Hammonds and how they had to turn their land over in the end and give the government the BLM first right of refusal, if you can't see that, then I'm not really sure that there's anything you're going to learn from us in Portland other than, you know, what our faces look like and what cars we drive. But I hope you'll open up your heart, and I hope you'll open up your eyes, and you'll realize that you're being lied to. You're being screwed by your government, and Ammon Bundy went to help. LaVoy Finicum went to help. Ryan Bundy went to help. Okay, these people had good lives. These weren't people living on the side of the street that had nothing to live for and went to cause problems. That's the picture the media has painted for you, and they lied. They have lied. And the jurors right now in this courtroom are seeing that. They're hearing testimony after testimony. They're seeing images. They're seeing videos, and they're learning firsthand that they've been lied to about what happened in Burns, Oregon, in Harney County. They were lied to. So that's all I have for you guys. I'm going to get home. It's late. It was a good day. Jeanette's a strong woman. Please pray for her, guys, and help her in any way that you can. Ammon and Ryan and everybody, they're tired and they want to go home to their families. So let's do whatever we can do to rally around them and show the American people support. Take some pride in your country again and support the patriots, support the heroes, okay? Stop supporting some idea that we need our government to babysit us and take care of us. That's not America. That's not land of the free and home of the brave, okay? That's a different nation. That's not this nation. I don't want it to be this nation, okay? I don't need my government to babysit me and tell me what I can and can't do on my property, and I don't need to get permission to own a gun. I don't need to get permission to get a dog, register my dog, or I get a ticket. You know, come on, guys, wake up, all right? And stop the hate. Wake up and stop the hate. Okay, I think that's all. Have a good night, guys. Thanks for watching. Keep spreading the message. Oh, and I was allowed into the courtroom, and I didn't have any more problems, but regarding my video I did the other day, I did go back to the location that I was taken, and I found a camera back there. So I went down and asked the security guards how I get the footage of where the guard took me when he wanted to discuss my Facebook post with me. And it sounds like I have to go talk to the U.S. Marshals and put in a Freedom of Information Act and try to get a copy of that video footage showing them taking me back into the corner to harass me about my Facebook post. So I'll follow up on that, and we'll see where it goes. And to all my Twitter trolls out there, I love you guys. I wish the best for you, and I hope that you guys find something to do with your time, because I'm really not quite that interesting, but you guys sure think I am. I guess it's a little bit flattering. I hope you get paid, because I don't, and you guys spend an awful lot of time following me. But at any rate, have a good night. Take care. God bless.
Looks like we got LaVoy coming this morning for the press conference. Stand by. Here he comes. You guys, I'm telling you, this is one of the greatest American patriots that you could ever come to meet. Okay, and I'm so honored to be here to help tell this story. This is a man who literally put his life on the line for the men and women inside this camp the other night. And we'll continue to do that as we try to get peaceful resolution out here. Hello, sir. Good morning. Good morning. Eric. Wanted to let you know also, by the way, good morning to you, sir. Good morning. Relay to everyone, we actually have some people that are volunteering their facilities, the Historical Museum.
Oh, for the meeting?
For the meeting. If
it won't happen tonight,
okay.
So but we will use that.
Just wanted to let you know.
We're going to make it happen soon.
All right, fantastic.
We'll make it happen.
Excellent.
Good morning, everyone. Today was supposed to be an important day. Today was the day that we said that we'd have our meeting with the community to outline exactly why we're here and when we would leave. Unfortunately, Judge Grasty has been most active in squashing that, making sure that we have no access to facilities, to talk to the residents, to talk to the people. So I asked, Judge, representatives from 3 different states, and put great pressure to have them not come and meet with us. So again, why? Why, Judge Grasty, are you not allowing this to happen? And also, we would like to ask the FBI to go home. If you'll notice that who has guns at schools? Who has guns around the public buildings? It's not us. It's the federal government. They're fear-mongering. We want them to quit acting this way. Quit being provocateurs. Quit acting as militia and stirring up fear. There's no need for that. We can get on with the business and get out of here quicker. And you can, if you go home, take your guns away from the schools. Take your guns away from the county buildings. Take down those barricades. This isn't Russia. This isn't the Berlin Wall. So, having said that, I only have a few things to announce here. I understand that the annual coyote hunt is coming up, and we're excited for that. We invite the hunters to go ahead and access the refuge. I listen to the packs of coyotes every night and stuff. There's a lot of them out there. The pelts will be at their prime right now. This is an annual thing for this county, and so we don't want that to be disrupted. We want those traditions to continue and for them to feel welcomed, all those who come from all areas. There are other counties, neighboring counties, that are reaching out to us at this time, asking us to meet with them and to look at doing some of the same things that are happening here in Harney County. I don't have any specifics that I'll give you at this time, and I think that that's about all I really want to give at this time. If there's any questions, we've got a lot of work to do, but if there's any questions, I'll take a few questions.
The coyote hunters have been advised on the sheriff's alert page to stay away from the refuge. Is it an area that they normally are allowed to hunt, and do you encourage them to come to this area to hunt if in fact they're allowed to?
This is Harney County, and they should be free to access all the public lands, and this is Harney County public land, and so we're not worried by them. They should not be worried by us. If they're hunters, they know that you don't point guns at people, you know, and we know that we don't point guns at people, and so it's all well, it's all good.
So what will you do to get county permission to use their facilities for a meeting?
Well, we have been exhausting every resource, and if they do not do that, we shall still make this meeting happen soon. We are looking at other facilities from local residents that will open this up and be more generous than the judge here. Again, why, Judge? Why not have dialogue? Why not be open? We're looking for transparency.
Do you all have any plans to take part in the coyote hunt?
No, we got too much to do. That sounds like a lot of fun, but no, we've got much to do, thanks.
You said you wouldn't mention specifics on your talks with the other counties, but can you say what other counties you've been in talks with?
No, not this time, but they're bordering counties. I'll say that much.
And are they officials from counties, or are they just are they local residents?
There's residents, and Ammon's been doing most of the interfacing. So as far as county commissioners or county supervisors, I don't know the extent of that. I will say this, that been in communication with county residents or county supervisors from other states. I personally have met with them that have great concerns about what's going on, the overreach of the federal government, and they too are looking at Harney County, trying to look at ways that they can support them and possibly doing the same thing. So this is not just a one-state issue, a one-county issue, but it is expanding into other states and many other counties. And so we've got a lot of work to do, but it's moving. It's high time that things be done.
Do you think they're a little fearful you might take over another county building if you're allowed to access it, since you took over this refuge?
Well, there's no need to do that. This is a great facility. It's got lots of room.
No, you're saying the judge won't let you use another public facility, so what's to stop you from taking over another
Wouldn't that be a terrible media presentation for us to come in there where we don't need the facility to show such poor faith to the county residents that want to hear what we're doing, and so there is no need for such fear. That we're looking at today is Friday. We're hoping early, like Monday, probably Sunday. We try to kick things down on Sunday, but we're looking towards Monday to get this done. Maybe Judge will have a change of heart and allow his residents of his county to come and meet with us personally. We have a PowerPoint presentation that we want to give so that they can have some concrete clarity of our actions.
Why don't you just have it out here?
We want them to be comfortable. The county people to come in and be able to sit down.
Well, how about down in the refuge?
Well, we meet with them all the time there. but we want to have them have the opportunity to meet with us all.
How about holding the judge accountable for a direct violation of the First Amendment? People have the freedoms to assemble, correct?
My understanding is the judge is actually in violation of specific statutes right now by his actions. You know, I'm not an attorney at that level or anything like that, and so but that's my understanding, that he is actually violating specific statutes by his actions.
Is there anything you can tell us about your plans to leave? That, I mean, obviously the community would hear you on this
Right.
platform as well.
No, I'll let Ammon present that. Ammon Bundy, he is the person to present that. He's the one that actually set this whole thing in motion, and so it would be proper and appropriate for that to come.
Is it true that the residents, a lot of them are asking that you don't leave too soon because they don't want to get back to what the powers that be call normal, which is the Hammonds in jail?
Thank you for the question.
Thank you.
It's a softball question, but I'll sure love to hit that because
Yes,
it's very important. Is that yes? The answer is yes. The most common thing that these ranchers had to say when they began to come to us was that they were very concerned and fearful of retaliations by the federal government, by the forcers, by the BLM. And they said, will you leave us alone? Will you stir this up, and then will you leave when we need you? If we start standing up and sticking our heads out and making a stand, will you leave us alone? And did you not witness the pressure that was brought to bear upon the Pucketts? I announced that we were going to go open that fence, and did you know the FBI was there before I even got down in my truck and got out here, putting pressure upon them? FBI and BLM, the intimidation that they put upon these people, they're well organized, and they got there before we did. And so that is true. Well, if there's no other questions, I think I will get back
Can you tell us about progress with the grand jury and Judge Brissett? How's that moving along?
No, I can't really make any comments on that.
What percentage of the local population do you feel you're speaking to? Because when I went to meetings, it seemed like maybe 10% were with you. But what percentage do you think you're talking to?
The one was fed back to me because I don't go to that. I go to the meetings that are here, and that's 100%. Okay. The meetings in there, I heard that there was a third that says you guys need to get out of Dodge, and a third that says we like what you're doing, we're not liking your method, appreciate it, but we want you to go, and about a third saying don't go, stay. But let's talk about a republic. It's the right of the individual that we're looking at, not the right of the collective. You know, if there's just one rancher that's saying, please help me, please don't go, what about him? What about the Hammonds? What about that family that's in prison? What about the one? We wouldn't be here if it wasn't for that one family. All these abuses that have been building for a long time, but it was that one family that is what, now 11 days in prison? That unjustly so? Let them be released. It is about the one family right now. Amen. And so, thank you, and I will call it good at that.
Amen.
Okay, fantastic. And I'm going to meet with Dallas. Yeah, Dallas, don't go away, okay? Stick with me, okay? Because I want to.
I might actually ride back with you guys if you have room.
We'll make room. Harney County Resource Center. Look at that. That's beautiful, man. Hey, Kenny. I'm getting a picture of your sign there. It's beautiful.
Fighting vehemently to keep us from having access to buildings, to have daylight shed on things. And so I personally believe, from one of the documents that I have seen, that there is great corruption here. You know, you ought to follow the money. There's great wealth that's locked up. On my ranch, particular in Arizona, the greatest mineral wealth in the world is on that. And so why do they lock that off? And why do they keep those resources from the people? And then have access to by others at different times. I don't have specific surveillance that they put up on access here. We are looking at some of the residents who told us about it, and they think that ought to be taken down, that the federal government shouldn't be having surveillance here in the county, that those surveillance footages or cameras should be taken down off the accesses to this property. So that's what we're considering doing, and when we do, we want it in the light of day. And FBI, I assure you listen to this, you know, maybe you ought to get your tail out there and take them down before we get there so it's no issue. But
wave hello to them, Mr. Finicum. They're right there.
Oh,
there you go.
Okay. Well, that's not okay, and get the facility put in place Monday. This needs to happen quickly. We don't want things to lag. We want things to move quickly so I can get home and find my lost gal.
It's locals requesting it, and they're being denied access to their own public building.
Right.
Not us calling the shots. Locals are now stepping
Yeah, the Committee of Safety is trying to get the not okay. Let's have open dialogue. Let's have some clarity with what's going on here. This is going to take a process.
Are we able to tell people that they haven't already said about their exit strategy and their demands for?
And I know that he's working hard to put it in a PowerPoint presentation so it's clear and precise, so that we can have a meeting of the mind. And I can look forward to seeing it.
Fully support you guys.
That's true.
And we've interviewed about 40 different people, and I would say over half of them are saying we can't talk, they won't let us.
Can we do this? What is just being said?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Say it louder, please.
Okay. We interviewed about 40 or 50 people in Harney County, and none of them will go on the record, but they will all off the record say they are being intimidated to not verbally, publicly support you guys. And that this is the first time that they've ever had a voice against policies of land use. Can you comment on that? Or?
Well, let's look at the puckets when we open the fence. You know, where you say, hang strong, be strong. And they say, we are, but we're not used to this. So there's a concrete example of this, just not broad brushes, but that's a narrow stroke. That's an individual family. So yes, it's true. Federal government, go home. Take care of federal things. Secure our borders. Protect our nations. Keep commerce regular. And just a couple other things. Get the heck out of Dodge and leave the rest for the state and the counties to take care of. Let the people be free. It's high time, dadgummit. Get out of town. So, anyway, before I get too hot, I gotta get out of here. So.
Yeah, no, it's a good kind of hot.
Yeah, it is. Amen.
Thank you.